All right. Hey, good afternoon. It is still Friday, February 14th, and I am still Rob, that developer dad, and we're continuing on from this morning's work where we're adding game level statistics to our NPC generation. And it just occurred to me out here in the Townsfolk Manager that, let's see here, there's character rules. Let's spin down to generate townsperson. And I just wanted to leave myself a note to do. Not under generate personality, but to do, we might want to expose this part of the process as a public method so that we can generate these stats for characters that were created before this feature is done. Pardon me. All right. So that's a bit of UI work and workflow work that we're going to need to think about later on. For now, we're still not ready to start talking about generating game stats for a townsperson. We need to get these data structures designed so that I can snap these basic building blocks together to describe what stats need to be generated, how they're generated, and then ultimately how they're incorporated and added to a townsperson object and eventually displayed on the user interface. Not to mention how might the generated stats how might the generated statistics impact the LLM prompt? And you know what? I think before I go much further, I'm actually going to take this Townsfolk Manager. Let's pop here, come into the contracts, and on iTownsfolk Manager, here's load, filter, save, get options. Dictionary. No, it's not a dictionary. It is going to be for now an object. And it is going to be called generate game statistics townsperson NPC. Accepts an NPC object, accepts a townsperson instance, and generates the game statistics for that NPC. These stats are not added to the NPC, but rather returned to the caller. It is up to that component to decide whether to add them to the townsperson instance or not. Save. Over here on the townsfolk manager, I'm just going to add the public property that implements this. Public object. What do I call it? Generate game stats. Yep. Generate game stats. Town person NPC. This is also going to become object. Need to pull the species, background, and vocation templates for the provided NPC. Pass those, pass those to the private method to generate the stats. Return the result. All right. What's this complaining about? Where's my anger code? Okay. var npc stats, and then add a property to the NPC, townsperson instance with the generated stats. All right. Save. And now we can go back to what we were doing. Yep. I'm just going to turn this into a to-do. Save. All right. Now, rule set 5e SRD, not dealing with that. Let's close the townsfolk manager and the interface for that. Here's our chat. Okay, good. We'll keep using this. And can I send that over to the right-hand panel? No. All right, that's fine. Okay. So I left this comment. I'm not sharing my screen. Ha. Okay. There we go. So I left this comment for myself this morning. And I think what I need to do is define a internal class. No, it needs to be a public class. Attribute group. And it's not going to be a list of system.attribute. No way. It's going to be a list of game attribute definitions. Name, description, and So here's game attribute definition over here. And let's say public class ordinal attribute inherits game attribute definition int ordinal. Yeah. And what this does is it wraps a game attribute definition, and wraps is wrong, but decorates a game attribute definition with an ordinal value. This can be used for sorting or ordering groups of attributes. Save. So we've got an attribute group, name, description, attributes. I am not sure I like that. So we've got the character attribute definition. I'm going to zap this, and I'm going to public class character attribute not container defines a more concrete attribute that is applied to a game character. Prop, string, display name, prop, int, group, ordinal, prop, game attribute definition, and right now they are all prop, int, value. Private set. And then externally, we'll add set value later if we need it. Save. Display name, group ordinal, okay. Attributes are that. Group name. Description. We don't really need description. That's not going to show up in the UI anywhere. And when we materialize these abstract concepts into actual sets of attributes, we can abstract class, attribute, group name, display name, group ordinal, definition, and the value. Okay. Character, attribute. Save. CTOR. Add a constructor to this, and attributes equals a new list of character attribute. We're going to set private set on all of this stuff. Public void generate value definition.calculator.calculate. We're going to set up constructor. Set the display name here. There we go. We don't need to assign display name twice. Definition. Calculator may be null. Zero. There. Okay, now what's this complaining about? String. Group name with a lowercase g. There we go. Are you done complaining? This is not that. It is a attribute group. All right. And then finally, we've got a private read-only dictionary, attribute groups, Protected character attributes generator. There we go. And protected void add attribute group. And it's just going to take in an attribute group. Group dot group name and group. There we go. Excuse me. Let's go take a look at game attribute definition a little bit more. Now I've got name, description. We can just get rid of that. Definition of T. Nope. Let's not futz with generics yet. Get out of here. Name, calculator, prop, int, min value, prop, int, max value, prop, int, default value. Save. Now, out here on the attributes container, if the calculator is nothing, or if the calculator is not defined and we call calculate, we're gonna hit the null there, and we're gonna come out to the null coalescing operator and go to definition.default value. Save. And I think we've got enough between game attribute definition and the classes defined here in this character attributes container. So there's character attributes container. I'm also going to add game attribute definition. And I also want to add the iAttribute calculator. Just double click that to firm it up. Now I'll come back over here to my chat window, iAttribute calculator, game attribute definition, and let's add game attributes container to the chat. Given the 3 linked code files in this request, please review the code and tell me if what I've sketched out is sufficient to build sets of character attributes that can be applied to a wide variety of TTRPG rule sets. Oh no. Oh no, Johnny. That's bad news, man. I'm using Copilot to validate the initial uh, data structure design that I'm going to hopefully be able to use to define the game statistics for, well, we're going to start with D&D 5e, and that's where we're going to stay for a while. But I do have a fantasy in my head that eventually I'll be able to implement this kind of thing for other game systems. And I want to make that project or those future projects as easy on myself as I possibly can. Custom calculation logic per attribute. It's parameterless, lets implementations handle their own dependencies. Calculator is optional, falls back to default value. Support for min-max bounds on attributes, supports derived attributes. Grouping system allows for organization. Abstract container class allows for rule set specific implementations. Works well for a D&D Pathfinder, World of Darkness GURPS, generic systems with calculated stats. Add support for temporary modifiers buffs, add support for prerequisite attributes, validation logic for attribute ranges, add methods to query, filter attributes by criteria, consider adding support for tags and categories. Those potential improvements are great ideas, but aren't really in scope for now. I feel like my design is both simple, flexible, and open to extension enough that if I need any of those, I can set those capabilities up later. Yep. Looking for a way to generate these attributes. When I start applying them to the townsperson object, I may, in fact, add things like normal value and current value, as once they're initially generated, those values are in fact variable in the course of a play session, but are not in scope when creating a character. I'm not going that deep, rather than have concrete classes for all those. Going to create instances of different attribute types in the specific rule set and use those to build the mechanical stats on the townsperson object. I'll likely have a slightly different representation of these things that allows for value management and storage once the character has been rolled. Add attribute group, so on and so forth. Then your townsperson class can have something like that. String and int, current values, base values, blah, 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 blah. Yep, that's about what I have in mind. Okay, thanks. Just wanted to validate my data structure design. Time to start materializing these abstract concepts in the 5e rule set library. Okay, so we've got character attributes container. Oh no. Oh gosh, what did you do to your computer, Johnny? Did you make it do more than it wanted to? That sucks, man. Close that. I've got my attribute and calculator abstractions and all those classes up on my other screen. Let's open up the D&D 5e SRD rule set. Character creation rules. Create a new file, and it'll be a class called character stats. Rename builder. Oh, jinkies. Character stats builder. It's funny, just before, or just as I was getting ready to start this stream, excuse me, I had a power flick here on one of the circuits in my house, and a whole bunch of stuff restarted, including my modem and router. My laptop was fine because it's battery, and it can do without direct power for a second or two. Defines the mechanical statistics that characters in a game based on D&D 5e SRD rules have. Character stats builder. I want builder or definition? Builder. Could be. All right. CTOR. Boop. Don't need parameters. And this is going to be mostly hard-coded. Now, I've got a bit of an issue here in that I don't think this rule set file has access to my dice roller, and it does not. Interesting. Oh man, drive failures suck, dude. I'm thinking through my static design and stuff like that over here. I think I'm safe adding a reference. I'm safe adding it, but this should just define and not actually implement. Ooh, that's rough, man. Yeah, I am constantly checking in and committing to my cloud based source control repos. I don't do it as often as I really ought to. All right, so this is the character stats builder. No, this is not the builder. Rename. Character attributes. I call it character attributes. Rename this thing to character attributes. And let's dismiss this. I am actually going to define a new project. It's going to be a class library. Rule sets / game tools dot engine dot Let's see here. Creation engine dot 5D and D 5E SRD. And it looks like it's going in the right place. Good. Create project. Groovy. This guy is going to have access to the dice engine. It's going to have access to rule set definitions. Going to have access to rule set D&D 5e SRD. Class 1, I'm not going to even implement anything in here. I'm just going to put a big fat comment. This is where we'll compose the dice engine with the 5e character attributes. To build out the game stats for 5e characters. And all of the game system specific stuff is going to exist as classes in here. We'll define different kinds of attribute calculators, etc. in here. Now, private, blah, private void, blah, species template, character species equals, okay, good. I have access to all of those abstractions. Good. That's all I wanted to make sure of here. I'm going to save this, come back to character attributes. And it is going to have, or rather it will inherit from, I'm going to come up to, close that, definitions. It's going to inherit from a character attributes container. Copy, paste, and reference. Okay, var ability scores equals create ability score group. Oh, Johnny, that's rough, buddy. You've got some recovery to do. Private. What's the class name I use for that? Attribute group? Yep. Attribute group. Create ability score group. character attribute, group ordinal definition. I'm going to come over to character attribute. Oh no, they're up in GitHub though, right? Or was this a local server that you were using for hosting to the internet? Generate value. Just local host versions of them. They're all, or are these things that you haven't committed to GitHub yet? Create strength definition. No. Not quite there yet. All right. And let's not add all of these yet. Let's just add one. Group.attributes.add strength. Okay. And what I want to do is display name strength. I believe it's not ordered parallel query. What the heck? Group ordinal 0 definition, new game attribute definition, name strength, display name, str, min value, max value, default value 10, calculator equals null. Save. And I want to review this over here. Calculator is get set, good. Now over here on character attributes, and because this is 5e specific, I can add a public void assign calculator to group string group name I attribute calculator calculator. And let's look at character attributes container, go to definition, add attribute group. Protected dictionary of string attribute groups is that. Pop over here. Ooh, oh man. That hurts, Johnny. Oh gosh. Okay. And then for each attribute in group.attributes. Okay. Attribute groups, boopity boopity boo. Attribute, game attribute definition. Let's come over here. And derived attributes. How do I get into this layer? Public void add set derived attribute calculator. There we go. Allows the caller to set the calculator instance to be used for any derived attributes on this instance. Provides any attributes, examples, let's spell that correctly, would be the modifier of an ability score for TTRPG systems that inherit from the D&D legacy. Note, all sub-attributes must use the same calculation strategy for now. All right. Character attributes container, generate value, group ordinal, add attribute group, character attributes, assign calculator to group. Public void assign modifier assign sub attribute calculator string group name string attribute name and an attribute calculator, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do the same thing down here. There we go. Var group equals attribute groups, group attributes dot find. If attribute is not null, we assign the calculator no. Attribute dot definition. Okay, this assigns to the groups. Attribute dot derived attributes, set derived. Set derived. dot definition dot set derived attribute calculator. Cool. Allows us to assign a selected attribute calculator to a group of attributes. Assign sub-attribute calculator us to assign a calculator to I'm going to leave this off for now. I'm just going to delete this. That feels silly. And public, not everything has to be a group. Create ability score group. Public character attributes. Private attribute group. Ability scores. Ability scores equals create ability score group. Let's do one thing at a time, Rob, instead of solving every problem all at once. Oh gosh, that's rough, man. Oof. Okay, so game attribute definition, yada yada yada. And strength dot definition dot derived attributes dot add new game attribute definition calculator equals null, min value is -5, max value equals 5. And that works for me. And we have added strength. Save. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream right now because we can see that I've started to flesh out the way I'm going to assign these stats. But I want to do some fiddling offline to see if I can create an instance of these and how to flesh out the actual builder and all of that stuff. Oh, man. And did you lose that website? But I want to flesh out the actual creation engine here, start implementing this. Oh, okay. Cool. Do me a favor and bounce the URL to the repo over on Discord, and I'll take a look offline. But yeah, I want to recap what we've done this session. we kind of refined and validated the design of these abstractions. And then we added in the ability to group attributes together and define character attributes and so on and so forth. Now, just before I end, so we've got our ability scores. As a matter of fact, rather than going attribute group underscore ability scores, let's just do this. Public attribute group ability scores get and we'll do a private set. There we go. Ability scores. Mischief.net. Okay. I'll take a look at that in a second, man. Now, public character attribute definition. Is that what I called it? Game attribute. Duh. Game attribute definition. Hit points. Armor class. Public game attribute definition. Initiative. Modifier. And finally, public game attribute definition is, oh, come on, proficiency bonus. Save. Ah, gotcha. I will take a look at mischief.net. I'll, in fact, load it up in a moment. Right here. .net. Landon's website. He is 8. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to bring this onto the actual screen share, Johnny, because I don't want to share pictures of children on my live streams or on the YouTube videos or anything like that, because I don't want to violate anybody's privacy or anything like that. I'll violate my own privacy all the time, but I don't want to have pictures of other people's kids that I don't have permission to share, that I don't have explicit permission to share from the parents. And I'm not about to ask your mom and dad for permission to show pictures of your 8-year-old brother in my streams. But that's a cute little website. I like the way the images fade in and out as I navigate from one to the next. That's clever. It's really cute. Very nice. Okay, so I've defined these. I'm going to test out generating a strength score and its modifier using a class that I'll implement over in this creation engine library. And as you can see, the creation engine is for 5e. And on Monday, when I come back, we'll keep working on this ability score generation stuff. I'm going to try to get the mechanics done, or at least a lot of the mechanics done this afternoon. And then maybe we'll do some testing and start talking about rendering this stuff out in the UI. But for today, have yourselves a great weekend. If you have a significant otter, wish them a happy Valentine's Day. And if you do not have a significant otter, I hope you have a happy Valentine's Day yourself. I got to bounce, but I will see you all next time, and happy coding. Take care.